Hey, what's up? It's Tony Campos from Static X, and you're listening to the Nothing Shocking podcast.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking podcast, a non-genre based, all ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
We're putting the band back together.
The numbers all go to 11.
I'm talking about bands that rock. Led Zeppelin. What about Sabbath? AC/DC. Motorhead.
Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it?
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
I get up off the ground and raise my head. Days like this, think I should be dead. One for Satan, two for me. Let's cheat the devil, it's fun, don't you agree?
Welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'm your co-host, Jeff Unteed, and with me in Dog Bowl Studios is
Coach Nez.
You can find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Libsyn or any podcatchers. Like our Facebook page or follow us on Twitter at NoShockPod.
You can also find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Rock Rage Radio every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Central Time. Our sponsor is Ragged Records, located in downtown Rock Island, Illinois, and downtown Davenport, Iowa. We would like to thank the Hong Kong Sleepover for allowing us to use their music for our intro and bumper ending. Tonight's guest is
Tony Campos
of Static X
and Fear Factory.
Hail the Horns.
Yeah.
And he's promoting Hail the Horns, the new single Hail the Horns,
yeah.
HTH. Two singles and their cover of God of Thunder, the Kiss classic.
Yeah.
Let's get to this interview, man.
All right, good night.
Good night. Tony, welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'd like to introduce you, my co-host, Jeff Unteed.
Tony, thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, we're totally excited to have you on. Hail the Horns recently released your second single, Hail the Horns, HTH. The first single was your cover of God of Thunder. Can you talk a bit more about the writing and recording process of this original music?
Well, much like the Kiss cover, we recorded. Well, the Kiss cover we all recorded, separate. I did the bass and vocals here at my house, and then last winter, while I was out on the East Coast doing some shows with those guys, we tracked some bass and guitar and drums for the original, and it took me a couple months to write lyrics and then actually track it. So like I normally don't write lyrics. When I do, they're in Spanish and for Asesino and
Mm-hmm.
The stuff I write about with Asesino, it's like Satan, murder, rape, all those classic comedy genres,
Yeah.
But it wasn't going to quite work with Hail the Horns, so I was like, fuck, what am I going to write about? So, I spent a couple of months trying to figure out what I was going to write about, and it was like the first couple things I wrote, after sitting back and looking at it, and it's like, man, this totally reminds me of a Manowar song. I can't write this. I mean, no offense to Manowar, it's just not my cup of tea, they could wear all the loincloths they want, more power to them, but it's just not my cup of tea. So, after racking my head for a while, Chris, the drummer, he gave me a great idea, and that it should be something like kind of like a Metal Militia, you know, the song off Metallica song off of you know, their first record.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you know, just make it like a kind of like a celebration of metal, you know. And so I just started writing, and I started writing out all these different names of cool songs and albums that we all like, you know. And so I made it work into the song, and yeah, I think it fits not only the song, but the, you know, just the theme of the band, you know, because you know, we're originally a cover band, and so we're just out, you know, playing some of our favorite tunes, and you know, I thought it'd be it's a cool nod to that, you know, us just being a cover band and you know, playing songs that we like. So apparently it works because those two guys seem to like it, and so
yeah, we like it. We love it. So I guess as you view Hail the Horns, and I don't remember if Mark answered this question when we had him on, but is this a project, or is this going to be kind of like a long-term thing for everybody in this band? How is it going to work for you guys?
Well, I mean, you know, I have other things to do, you know, and I know Rizzo has El Nino and a couple other things he's got going on, so it's definitely a side project, but you know, that doesn't mean like it's not something that is going to go away anytime soon. I mean, Asesino is a side project for me. I mean, I've been doing that 20 plus years. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's definitely something I want to keep doing, you know, like just this whole, you know, I guess I've been dubbed the lead singer. It's something I've never really done before. I mean, I mean, I do all the vocals on Asesino, but that's just like me going, you know, I'm not actually singing, you know, and like with Hail the Horns, I'm like, fuck, I gotta actually sing, you know, so like I've actually put time and effort into like trying to figure out how to do that. So.
Very good, very good. Jeff, you got the next one?
Yeah, just talk about that process of being dubbed the front man a little bit. How does that work for you compared to just being the bass player in the band?
Well, you know, when we started doing this, and you know, we were proposing songs, what songs we were going to play, and you know, we initially all decided that we were all going to take turns singing, and you know, when we do the live shows, that's what we do. We all take turns just singing songs, and so you know, I've never really been like too confident about my actual singing voice. I think I sound too whiny. But I gave it a shot anyway, because I know they wanted to do some Metallica, they wanted to do some Megadeth, and I've been confident that I can at least sound like those guys, you know, like I think I do like a pretty good James Hetfield, Dave Mustaine, and I can do a pretty good Gene Simmons. So, you know, so I proposed those songs, and you know, but I did demos so those guys could actually hear me, and you know, so like if you know I was full of shit and like you know they could tell me I'm full of shit instead of like me going and doing this in front of a room full of people and having a room full of people telling me I'm full of shit. So you know. So I demoed it for these guys, and they were like, "Yeah, no, you sound cool," and then they were like, "Nah, you're the singer." And I'm like, "Nah, man, I ain't doing all the fucking work. You guys have to do some of this shit too, man." You know? So you know, when we do the live shows, we all take turns singing some songs. But you know, so far, you know, as far as the originals go, they want me to do all the singing. So you know, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, is there any challenges to singing and playing bass at the same time?
It's a little, you know, it's a little more difficult, I think, at first anyway, you know, because like I got to concentrate on actually singing notes as opposed to just screaming my head off. So it's a little more challenging, you know, getting comfortable with it, but you know, like with enough repetition, you know, you practice something enough, and you know, it ends up sticking in your head, you know, and it just becomes muscle memory, you know.
There you go. I know the music landscaping is now release a digital single at a time opposed to releasing an album or a EP. Where's your headspace for Hail the Horns? Will we ever see the band eventually release a tangible product, a full-length album or an EP? What's in the future?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know, with Asesino, like, you know, it's been, what, 17, 18 years since our second record came out. So, like, you know, it's, you know, when it's a side project, it's kind of, it's a little more difficult to actually get together and with enough time to actually write a record. But, you know, releasing singles and, you know, that's a little more manageable, you know, given the time constraints of a side project. So, I mean, as of right now, you know, we're just releasing singles, and I don't know, we'll see what the future holds.
Oh, very good. Now, as far as original recorded music goes for Hail the Horns, how much original music do you guys have in the tank right now? Do you guys have a vault of songs that are waiting to be released here in the next, few months or whatever?
I don't know. I mean, that'd be a Rizzo question, because he writes all the riffs, and then the way they've sent me the bones for a second song. That so far the way the originals have been coming together is, you know, Rizzo has a bunch of riffs that he sends to Chris, and then Chris kind of arranges the song, tracks some drums, and then they send all the files to me. And then, you know, I track bass and write and track vocals here, and then I send it all back to them, and then they get their buddy to mix it. So that seems to be the process as of right now. I don't know if that'll change in the future, but right now it seems to be working. So,
oh, very good.
Yeah.
And you just answered my next question. So go, Jeff, take the next one.
Yeah, sure. Let's talk about equipment a little bit. What bass did you use for HTH?
Oh, my red Zon Legacy 5-string deluxe. Yeah, I've been playing the Zons now for since what? Goddamn, it's been, I think, 2010 I started playing them.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
so I've been playing these Zons basses for a while now, man, and I got to tell you, I ain't going back to anything else. You know? They're that good. Like you know, this many years later, I'm still just like, you know, floored at how easy these things play, like they practically play themselves, you know.
I guess when we're talking about the Zon bass, what was the opportunity that came your way to start using the Zon bass? Did they come at you as to, hey, would you play our basses, or how did it work for you? Because obviously you were playing something else before you took on the Zon bass. Yeah,
I was a Fernandez guy for a long time, and I don't remember when it was. I think 2010, maybe. The Fernandez decided to shut down all their North American operations, and I was like, okay, fuck, what am I going to do now? But right around that time, my friend Lauren, who works as the artist rep for Zon and for Dark Glass Electronics, he hit me up and asked if I'd be interested in checking out their basses, and I said, yeah, sure, you know. And so I went down to the shop in San Francisco, or the Bay Area, and got a quick tour of the place. It's a small shop, but they do everything by hand, and it's all custom one-offs, and it's just like the guy Joe Zahn, he's like master craftsman, and just I told him the sound I was looking for, and he put together my first bass, and it came out killer. And then for the second one, he was like, you know what? I think I know exactly the sound you're going for. Give me let me work some stuff around, change out some materials for your second one, and if you don't like it, we can do one exactly like your first one. And he made one, my second one, which is the red one that I tracked with the Hail the Horn song, and yeah, it was just like nailed it. Like that's the sound that I've had in my head all these years, and all my subsequent basses have been made to those specs. So yeah, the guy's a genius, man.
Oh, fantastic. Go ahead, Jeff.
When you go out on tour, do you use multiple basses, or do you play the same one all night?
I take out two usually. Like when I'm out with Static, I'll take two, and one's just a backup. I rarely like to switch, instruments during the set.
Yeah, I
just like sticking with one. But like for like Hail the Horns or like Asesino, where like I got to carry all my shit. I'm just taking one. The days of me carrying around a fucking cabinet and a big rack with multiple heads and 20 bass. I never used to carry. At most, I'd have 3 basses with me on tour, but those days are gone, man. I'm all about taking the least amount of shit possible.
Yeah. There you go.
I kind of wanted to take this to God of Thunder. The band released the cover of that Kiss classic last year as the band's first single. As for you, how daunting of it that song was to cover and make it your own and put your own spin of it on it. What was your thoughts on recording that song? Because it couldn't have been an easy song for you guys to recreate.
Well, I mean, it kind of just fell in my lap. It was like because I was still dealing with stuff going on, personal stuff going on in my life at the time. And, dealing with just other business things. Sure. And, when we decided, yeah, okay, cool, we'll do God of Thunder. And then I kind of just forgot about it. And then it one day showed up in my inbox. Like, okay, here's the raw tracks. I was like, fuck, okay. And I was like, man, I wish I would have told you guys to record it, at the higher tempo that the live version's recorded at. I was like, oh, well, too late now. Yeah, Rizzo, he kind of, put his spin on it, with those harmonics and his solo on there. So that was pretty cool. And then, for me, it was just like, all right, let me try to do my best with Gene Simmons.
You did a great job.
Yeah.
You did a fantastic job. Jeff, do you want me to take the next question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, most of our listeners will recognize you for your time in Static X and Ministry and Soulfly, Fear Factory. I can just go down on the list of different bands, but maybe some of our listeners might not realize your time in Prong with the Carved of Stone album. Can you talk a little bit more about your working with Tommy Victor and the workings of Carved of Stone? How did it all come about for you for this album and membership in the band, I guess?
I'd first met Tommy Victor a long time ago. It was probably like in 2000. I met him briefly because at the time Prong and Static had the same management, and so myself and the couple guys in the band got introduced to Tommy, and so that's where I first met Tommy. But I didn't really get to know him until I got the Ministry gig back in 2008, and he was in the band, and that's when I really got to know Tommy. And then after that, I went back out with Static, and towards the end of that year, Tommy hit me up saying that he had the tour in October of that year, and he needed a bass player, and I just happened to have the month off, so I was like, yeah, sign me up, man. Let's go. And so I did the tour. and then shortly after that, I did one more tour with Static X in Australia, and then that's when the band fell apart and Wayne went solo, and Tommy still had plans to do more shows. I was like, well, hey, I ain't doing nothing. Well, if you still need me, I'm in. And so I went and did a couple more tours with them, and then he asked me if I wanted to help him on this next record, and I was like, fuck yeah, like the two bands that Static X ripped off the most were Ministry and Prong, so I was like going to say no to that.
So cool.
Yeah, so yeah, he came down to my place, and we started demoing stuff and working on songs here at my house, and like I don't even remember the time frame. Maybe about 5-6 months from the time we started writing demos till we got in the studio to track the record. But yeah, no, it was just an awesome experience. Just like making a record with Tommy Victor.
So cool. So cool.
Yeah.
Jeff, you got the next one?
Yeah. I was going to, you kind of alluded to it a little bit, but you were talking about Asesino, your the band where you take vocals. Can you talk a little bit about how that band got started, or what made you decide to become the front man of that band?
Well, I didn't make that decision. It all kind of started when back in the early days of Static X touring, we did a lot of tours with Fear Factory, and I think on the last tour we ever did with them, towards the end of the tour, they would have me come out during their set, towards the end of their set, to sing Angel Death. And I guess Dino was impressed enough that he asked me to do vocals on this side project he was doing that ended up becoming Asesino. Which initially was a side project of his other side project, Brujeria. And the idea was that, that all the members of Brujeria were going to have their own solo records. And Asesino, being Dino's character in Brujeria, his record was going to be the first solo Brujeria record. And it just kind of took a life of its own. But initially, I was only going to do vocals. And they had initially approached Paul Gray from Slipknot to play bass on it. And for one reason or another, he ended up not being able to do the record. So I was like, well, hey, I can play bass. So I ended up tracking the bass on the record. And we had such a blast doing the record. And, the three of us lived in L.A., me, Dino, and Raymond. And I was like, well, fuck, let's do a show. So, we did a show, and it went awesome. And, yeah, that just got the ball rolling for Asesino. We've been doing it ever since.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah, I remember Jessica Pimentel made fun of us because we couldn't say that word. Brujeria.
Yeah, she was giving us
said it real fast.
Generalized question here. Metal used to be in the forefront of pop culture for many years. We don't see rock and roll or metal being at the forefront of popular culture any longer. What do you feel as though what will take metal, rock and roll to get back into the forefront of popular culture again?
I don't know. When it was like in the forefront of pop culture, whatever. I'm assuming you're talking about, the 80s metal bands, with the big hair and all that stuff.
Well, let's face it. There was a time when, thrash metal bands of the 80s, early 90s, obviously the Black Album, Metallica, we can go through things.
Every genre's had its day a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Did you ever foresee that type of populace coming back again as far as in the mainstream?
Yeah, I mean it could. I mean, I think what made that the big hair '80s stuff so popular was that it was fun and about having a good time and all that. So I think maybe that element of metal needs to be a little more prevalent. I mean, if you would have asked me back then if that was metal, I would have told you fuck no, because I was an underground kid. I was like, going to punk rock shows in backyards in South Central and Watts and thrash shows, and so I was like, those guys are pussies.
Well, yeah, and you bring a good point. As I was just going to say this before you said that, it's like, as much as people want to call the Sunset Strip bands metal, it really wasn't. It was just rock and roll, right? I mean, it wasn't.
Yeah,
metal.
yeah. To me, it was like 3-chord pop.
Right. Exactly. As far as the mystery of rock and roll, with there's not the Circus magazine anymore. There's not Spin magazine. Like there's not the magazine that used to be. They give the bands the mystery that they had, and now with the dawning of internet and social media, and what you have is that the mystery has really gone out of rock and roll. Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's just accessibility is everywhere now, right? So
yeah,
as far as
you're literally watching your favorite artist take a shit on their fucking social media, or going to buy groceries or whatever. It's like there's no mystery. They're absolutely right. Yeah.
As far as you as a fan and as a musician go, what do you prefer? Do you miss that mystery of rock and roll, or do you like the accessibility that the modern world gives us now?
Yeah, I mean, it made your favorite artists, bigger than life, and so when you did get to see them live, it was like that much more special,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I guess Jeff, do you have any more questions? Years ago, I think it was like 4 years ago, we had Sin Karen on the podcast, and I was telling Sin, I said, Sin, you got to tell Tony Campos that how cool we are to come on the podcast. And so I think somehow he sent me your email. This was like 3 years ago, and he goes, "Hey man, I'm going to send you this email. Good luck." He never returns he doesn't return any of my emails. So I had sent you an email, and you replied back, and you said, because I was kind of referring that, hey, we had Burt Bell on, we had Sin Karen on, to try to lure you, and John Bechtel, just trying to do anything, try to lure you, try to hook you. And you're like, well, I might. You said something like, hey, I might be able to. Get back with me in a month, and I did, and then you never returned my email before. So I was bragging to Sin once you did return my email the first time. I said, "Hey, he returned my email," and then you never did. And I said, "No, you're right."
well, hey, at least you got one up.
Exactly.
Apparently, Sin didn't even get that.
Apparently, he did not. He had a good laugh, and I said, right. I'll email him. He's like, "Yeah, good luck with that one." Before we let you go for the evening, is there anything that you would like to plug or promote that we did not cover tonight?
Well, let's see. I got a busy couple of months coming up. Starting beginning of June with Hail the Horns. Got some shows up and down the West Coast here. And then at the end of June, I go to Mexico with Asesino to play our first record in its entirety to celebrate the 20th anniversary of our first record.
Yeah.
So in 20 years, 18 years, 17, 18 years, we've managed to put out 2 records. So yeah, really cranking out the material here. So yeah, we're gonna go do that. Do some shows in Mexico, and then in July, Static X finally gets to go back out.
Cool.
We're excited to be on this really killer tour with Rob Zombie, Mudvayne, and Powerman 5000.
Nice.
Yeah, this is going to be killer. I'm really looking forward to that, man. So we're going to be out for, I think until end of August, September.
Wow.
With those guys. Yeah, so it's going to be a good time, man. I'm looking forward to it. After being cooped up in the house for, the better part of 2 years, I'm looking forward to getting out and doing some shows and just hanging out again, man.
You were home for 2 years and you never emailed me back. Damn you, Tony. Well, this is how things are going to work out here. We got about 4 weeks worth of episodes to release before yours, so we're looking at around mid-June. When Jeff here, the editing wizard, gets it all polished up, we'll send it to your PR people and have her distribute it wherever she possibly can. And if you wanted to, that'd be great too.
Yeah, man. No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's been lots of fun.
We'll have it out in about 4 weeks. Thank you so much.
All right. Sounds
Take
good,
care.
man.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Everybody hides at home inside their nest of snakes. Everybody grinds the stone and makes their own mistakes. Hide in the headlights, fight the grip of fear. You can make your dreams come true, but you just can't do it here. Hey! Everybody eyes the gun and screams inside their head. Everybody bites their tongue and pays their bills instead. Hide in the spotlights, fight the grip of death. You can have the air you need, but you best not take one breath. Hey! Roll the dice. Take your chances. Everybody knows the game is fixed, there is no prize. Everybody pulls the plug and says their last goodbyes. Move to the sunshine, fight the grip of nights. If they ever take from you, then you plug out both their eyes.
Welcome to the night. You think you know Night Demon? Then the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast is for you. Step into the darkness as we peel back the curtain to give you an unprecedented, all-access look into the mind and the heart of the demon. We're talking band history, song analysis, studio anecdotes, stories from the road. It's everything a diehard Night Demon fan could want and more. This is the only place to learn the inside scoop, the deep dive trivia, the untold tales from the band members themselves and those closest to the Night Demon story. Need more? The Sacred Night Demon Crypt will be pried open to reveal demo recordings that have never before seen the light of day, all with in-depth commentary by the band and the people who were there for the writing and recording process. This is a gold mine, a treasure trove of all things Night Demon. Head over to nightdemon.net or wherever you listen to podcasts.